You win some, you lose some, and some just leave you hanging in disappointment. And that, fight fans, sums up UFC 321. I'm going to break down my edgy bets, the fights that I focused on, and then I'm going to break down the main card for you. Let's get going. UFC 321 saw better refereeing than last week in Vancouver. And some of those refereeing decisions had impact on the outcome of fights, but those were the correct outcomes. So that was very good to see. In contrast, there was some controversial judging that took place. I'm going to go over that when I talk about the main card. But of course, the disappointment of the night was the no contest between Aspinall and Gane. I want to first focus on my edgy bets. I won a little bit on my 1-star bets, took losses on all of my 2-star bets. Every single 2-star bet came from 2 fighters, Haqparast and Maxim. And because they lost those, I lost all of those. I only lost a little bit in my 3-star bets, but because the Aspinall fight ended in a no contest and then Al-Sawadi dropped out of the fight, that meant that the Haqparast and the Maxim fights were very heavily weighted, and that was a bummer. I went with Maxim for the win because both fighters were coming in at 0-2, but Maxim clearly had the higher level competition. Both of his fights were with tough competitors. One of them was Charles Johnson, and they both were very close decisions. Raposo, on the other hand, had much less quality fighters, but because Maxim still looked great, even coming in at 0-2, and I just thought that he was going to show up better. It was disappointing. He missed weight by a lot, and so they had to fight at a catch weight, and Raposo just looked better. But the coup de grace was when Maxim grabbed the cage, advanced his position, and was deducted a point. Even if the judging would have resulted in a draw, it wouldn't have made a difference in my bets. The next fight was Haqparast versus Salkild. Listen, I really like Haqparast. He beat in a standing war Esteban Ribovics, who was one of my top prospects. I had him going into this fight. I picked him. 1, he has the home fighter advantage. 2, Salkild came in on a 9 or 10 day notice. Then he had to cut weight, which, was 15, 20 pounds. That's just a big ask with hardly any notice. If I'm going to lose any bet, I'm okay losing this one because Salkild came in with that incredible head kick early on in the first round. Maxim was doing a great job. He stuffed 4 to 5 takedowns, but in the end, Salkild coming in with that devastating head kick got him the win. It was tenuous for a moment. Wasn't sure what was going on because Haqparast didn't get up right away, but thank goodness he is fine, and Salkild walks away with the win. It was a treat for us because we don't get to see head kicks like that resulting in a knockout. He was asleep before he even hit the ground. Major props and performance of the night goes to Quillan Salkild. The good news is that the home fighter advantage is standing the test of time. 4 out of 6 home fighters won their fights, which results in a 67% advantage rate. And I just happened to pick 2 of the fighters who didn't win, but overall, really good for the home fighter advantage. Now let's talk about the main card. The first fight of the night was Alexander Rakic versus Azamat Murzakanov. Listen, guys, I was this close to picking Murzakanov. I watched all of his fights, found him to be incredibly impressive. He's light on his feet, which is surprising because he's kind of bulky. By the way, he trimmed down for this fight. But I gotta tell you, I watched Rakic's fight, never really been impressed with him. But when I watched the weigh-ins, I had PTSD flashbacks of Belgorod and Bikoy, basically a giant and someone of much lesser height. And I just got nervous. I took my finger off the go button and decided not to bet on that fight at all. I figured Rakic would do better, but he just proved himself to look like Tarzan, but fight like Jane. He just had nothing. I don't think he landed anything significant. Murzakanov had no damage whatsoever, and shortly after the first round starts, he comes in with a right-hand jab. Right-hand jab is the kill shot. Rakic goes down, covers his face. Murzakanov comes in with some ground and pound. The ref calls it off, and he gets his win by TKO. And Murzakanov is 16-0, undefeated. Before I get to the next fight, I want to talk about some of the controversial judging. And that happened in the fight on the undercard. It was Wood versus Delgado. I had Delgado winning every round, all 3 rounds. I could see how maybe they would have given 1 round to Wood. He ends up with a unanimous decision. Shocking to me because not only did Delgado have the most total strikes, he had the most significant strikes by an order of magnitude. He landed 134 significant strikes as opposed to Wood's 99. That was disappointing. I still really like Delgado. He's one of my top prospects to watch. Now moving on to the Volkov Almeida fight, which was the next fight on the main card. Controversial judging there. Almeida had ground control 10 out of 15 minutes. Lots of takedowns. Volkov scrambled out of them, got back up. He landed some elbows, but there was really no damage to either fighter. Almeida kept taking him down, had top control, did absolutely nothing. No attempt to submit, no ground and pound, nothing. It was really just a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fight. And the judges agreed. In the end, they gave the win to Volkov. Interesting side note, there is video after the Gane and Volkov fight. Clearly, Volkov is upset. Dana White agrees that Volkov should have been the winner of that fight, and he says he'll make it up to Volkov. So there's scuttlebutt that this fight with Volkov and Almeida is the make good fight. It's controversial either way. Almeida clearly was dominant on the ground, but Volkov had no answer. He did no damage. He had a couple of elbows here and there. Really, I think that the messaging from the judges is if you are not going to inflict damage on your opponent or you're not going to advance the fight to either finish or submit them, you're not going to get the win. The next fight is Nurmagomedov versus Bautista. At the outset, I just want to say this was one of the fights that I was most excited to watch. I just think that stylistically it was going to be a great matchup. Bautista coming in off of 2 wins against Patchy Mix and Jose Aldo. I just think he's such a fierce, intense competitor. Nurmagomedov was a huge favorite. I thought Bautista was going to come in and surprise us, and he certainly did. That first round was so beautiful. It was a masterclass in scrambling and chain wrestling. I thought that Bautista did an amazing job defending, but I just think that you're just outmatched when you're coming up against Umar or Islam. Mario had an exciting toe hold in mid first round that looked like it was going to give Umar some trouble. Umar rolls out of it. The second round is exciting. Bautista comes out, has a knee to Umar's head, knocks him down. This is where Umar is so impressive. He just gets back up, really doesn't even look fazed by it. Takes Bautista down. Again, the two are scrambling. Bautista just does an amazing job defending from the bottom. But again, you're fighting against Umar. It's a tough battle. I don't think that fight was easy for Umar at all. As a matter of fact, at the end, he said he was surprised. Bautista is tough. He's so impressive. I just love that fighter. In the end, Umar gets the big win as we thought he was supposed to. It was just a beautiful fight all the way around. The next fight is the co-main event, Verna Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. I thought Jandiroba had a real shot. She was very successful with her takedowns. The problem is she did absolutely nothing. She'd stand in the guard and had these little pitter-patter hammer fists, no ground and pound whatsoever. She actually ate more damage from Mackenzie Dern, who was clearly comfortable on her back. A little confusing, though, because Mackenzie had no takedown defense. I'm not sure if it's because she has no takedown defense or because she was just more comfortable on her back and was putting some damage on Jandiroba. On the feet, Mackenzie Dern was the more active fighter, the more prolific with strikes. Beautiful stiff left jab, right overhand. Ends up the winner. We have a new strawweight queen, Mackenzie Dern. Congratulations to her on the big win last night. Now for the main event. I'm just going to look at the silver lining in this fight. I thought that Tom Aspinall was going to roll over Cyril Gane. I thought that he was going to submit him in the first round and make a statement that he can do what John Jones can do. But Before the eye poke, I was actually saying to myself, I think Gane has this first round. Now, it was close for sure. Aspinall coming in with a head kick, but I didn't expect to see any damage on Tom Aspinall. So when I saw blood coming from his nose and Cyril coming in with accuracy, he was light on his feet. Both fighters looked great. I love Tom Shorts, by the way. But Cyril really surprised me, and rightly so. While it's a bummer that we didn't get to see a result for this fight, I think that the hype is going to be even bigger when we see the rematch. And I also think that Tom Aspinall is not going to be the heavy favorite in the money lines. I'm really curious to see what happens in the rematch. I'm just going to take a high road with this. It was disappointing that we didn't get to see the result, but we're going to see a result, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be more hyped. And I think the money line's going to be a lot closer on this. All right, guys, that wraps up UFC 321. How did you do with your bets? What did you think about the controversies? Did you like the reffing this time? What did you think about the Delgado fight? Are you disappointed like I am? Overall, just give me your thoughts, put them in the comments, and I'll see you guys real soon.